And joining us in studio, Lucky Tegisho, Transform RSA Deputy President, Rebilizo Tetsi, ANC Political Commissar, and Mlondi Mkize, ANC Youth League Spokesperson. Good evening to you, all our guests, and thanks so much for joining us. Opa Fumba is with the Right to Know campaign as their coordinator. And you at home, the lines are open, 011-542-2186. You're welcome to join us on social media as well. Let's start with you, Mlondi. Just in terms of how the Deputy President has handled this matter thus far, considering in Parliament with a Q&A session, he said he needs about 48 hours, 2 days or so to respond. What's your take on him not having issued a statement so far?
Well, we think that the lack of response is going to invite more people to be interested in the story. But equally is that the name of the ANC, given the fact that he's the Deputy President of the ANC, is likely to suffer more, as you know that what individual leaders of the African National Congress do in most instances get to be associated with the African National Congress. So that's our concern as African National Congress Youth League, that this ought to be responded to. You can't delay it forever. Ultimately, you'd have to respond. And the danger of not responding is that you are going to have more things coming out if there are things to come out. As a result of that, you have then have to deal with a much more bigger story than the story that we are currently discussing.
Do you think that because this matter now is before court with the alleged concubine now, interdicting the videos being released, that it's going to even unearth more dirt?
Well, it's going to, and we know as we would say that we ought to be very mindful of these things, and the fact that it is unfortunate that it has gotten to this point where it is now, that we are proceeding to videos and so forth, and that these kind of things are so unfortunate because there are more people that are going to get disturbed by these things. Society, the family, the people concerned, and for all intents and purposes, you are going to have more people actually wanting to see these videos, and what becomes the consequence of that is something that is African National Congress Youth League we cannot quite be certain of, and where would it lead us?
Yeah. All right, we have Shirley on the line. Good evening to you, calling us from the Eastern Cape. Hello to you. Hi, Shirley. Okay, we'll have to repatch Shirley. Let's just go to our studio guest now. In terms of this matter being in court and how, if you read the weekly expose and the Sunday Independent, that there was ample opportunity for CR to respond to the questions. There's even extended him to issue an affidavit under oath in denying all of these allegations. Do you think it's really in the public interest, Tegisho?
No,
to have these videos all over the place?
Yes. I think it's in the public interest, precisely because of the fact that Cyril Ramaphosa is the Deputy President of the country, and we expect him to have ethical leadership. And when we talk ethical leadership, we talk leadership that is transparent, that is open, and all of that. So whatever he does, the entire country watches him. So he should have foreseen this thing. And now this thing is out in the open. The only thing for him to do, for us to still have trust in him, that he will give us the ethical leadership that we need and demand from him as a leader, is to come out clear, to say, yes, I've made a mistake.
Confess, atone for
yes,
yourself,
and these are the issues that I did, and I would not do them again.
Yeah, Lucky, just hold the thought. Let's take a caller. Shirley in the Eastern Cape, good evening to you.
Cindy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, fine, thanks. Look, I'm just listening now to a man saying, I don't know who it is, saying that as a leader, or deputy president, he should come out and be transparent. But the president isn't coming out and being transparent and saying, I won't do this again. Leave the man alone. 62% of men have affairs. And then you get a little 29-year-old coming on to an older man. The man is weak. Adam couldn't even say no to an apple when Eve gave it to him.
So they've all fallen short of glory, or they've fallen from grace, that we need to move on. Shirley, thanks so much for your perspective. Ibrahim and Soweto, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, Cindy, and our panelists. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. What's your question or comment?
I tend to agree with Mr. Tekisho as well as my commissioner over there. Look, the fact that Mr. Ramaphosa, the deputy president of the country, and that of our movement, has been going around telling people that, like, obviously criticizing the blessers and the sugar daddies and so forth. No, but what is amusing now? We found him on a very same talk point doing the very same thing that they say the others they shouldn't do. So what I'm actually against here, that it's wrong of him that he must go and label others whilst he's doing the same thing. So he's no holy cow neither himself.
All right.
But obviously it's in the best interest of the public to know, as obviously for a mere fact that him being a public figure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it, Ibrahim. Thanks so much.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Let's get a perspective from Commissar Belitso Tetsi. In your view, one, that there are many other leaders who didn't lead by example, who have flawed characters or had indiscretions themselves. Why then should CR be hung to dry, so to speak? And another one, again, when it comes to a presidential hopeful, what is expected or of the caliber of leader that we need in this country?
Yeah, actually, many people never thought that to be a president of a country, you are a very important figure. So many people are looking at you. Others, probably, they can even copy good things which you are doing. It is therefore important for you, when you are entering that stage or that domain of becoming the leader of the country, you need really to speak openly. Tell the people what you've been doing wrong, what you think you'll do some correction about it. Just become clean, so that whenever you ascend that stage, the public is 100% satisfied about you. But now, if you ascend the stage and you have hidden some baggage around here, it's a problem. Then it becomes a problem.
Okay, Mlondi, just on our caller's view, that many other have been, compromised, other leaders. Why should the focus be so much so on presidential hopeful Cyril Ramaphosa?
Well, you see, this is a challenge, because that argument seeks to suggest that if one leader does wrong, then we give a permission to all leaders to do wrong. And I'm sure that that's not the message that we want to send to society. Secondly, as you know, that when you become a leader, society treats you with a certain level of respect and expectation. Amongst those is that you don't do what normal South Africans and normal citizens would do, because they're expecting out of you to be an example, that when they speak about good people, best people, people that one should look at, they would speak about you. And when these things happen, then that kind of stature, that kind of an expectation is broken. As a result of that, then people begin to lose faith in you, and they would partially have some problems with the organization that you are a leader or you are a member of. We agree with the insinuation that there are many other people out there that could be doing this. Yes, they are. But not all of them are deputy president of the country. And therefore, the treatment will not be the same.
Okay, so you're more scrutinized because you are a public representative. Let's get a perspective from Opa Fumba from the Right to Know campaign. He's their coordinator. Opa, thanks so much for your time and good evening. Is this a nice to know or a right to know, as these videos are now in the public interest? What's your view?
I think our history as right to know in this, we have not taken any collective position on what is our procedure into this, but generally we feel that I think the president, all the leadership of this country should live on their ethics. But then we know through the history of this country, when it comes to leadership, it's not easy to trust them in the public domain.
Opa, just move around a little bit. Your line is distorting. We couldn't hear you very clearly. So are you saying that it is in the best interest of the public, or is it just a juicy scandal that we shouldn't make too much about?
I didn't get that one.
Yes, I'm saying is it in the public interest to have the videos and the intimate emails from this year?
I agree with you. We're following the social media what is taking place around Ramaphosa. I mean, Ramaphosa himself has got a lot of outstanding himself. Look at the issue of Marikana. This thing is just a petty issue of his girlfriend in the marriage. I mean, we know that there's a lot of things that happen in terms of the trust. Men are not been trusted in South Africa, particularly those when
I'm afraid we're going to have to let you go. Your line is terrible. So, but thanks indeed for joining us. Mfundo is calling us from KwaZulu. Hello to you, Mfundo.
Hello, Cindy, and your panel. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Good, Cindy. First, I would like to say this. I hate a cheating man with passion. Ramaphosa is not a man to be trusted. It was Marikana. Minimum wage, he was not honest on minimum wage. All these allegations, I don't see him as a fit person to represent us as a president. So, for me, he must just face the music.
Yeah, but Mfundo, you're not satisfied with the Farlam Commission that exonerated the deputy president in the Marikana tragedy, and
the quietness.
Yeah.
The quietness of Ramaphosa.
All right, Mfundo, I think we lost him there. Mlondi, just your response to our callers, and especially as you're saying, by association, of course, he is representing the African National Congress, and that all these skeleton nyanas that people have, if they have aspirations for the highest office, need to be scrutinized and dealt with, in your view.
Well, you see, those are things that obviously every other person would have an interest in. You'd know that this is not a matter of that has happened to the Comrade Deputy President alone. We have seen emails with Comrade Jeff. There are many other examples, and therefore this should not be treated merely as a matter that it's now the Deputy President. The principle here is that society would expect a leader to behave in a certain way. And that certain way, unfortunately, for those that are in leadership, is that we don't expect you to be behaving like the rest of us, those who are not in leadership. And unfortunately, that kind of a notion and that idea, Cindy, you can't wish it away. It is there. It is always there, and that's why people would always complain about these things, because they expect that when you're at a certain level, these things ought not to be done because you are now leadership, and a certain stature associated to the office or the position that you are in would not require that such things are found to be associated with the person occupying the office.
What is your response to the allegations from the Sunday Independent that the questions were actually leaked from the deputy president himself, and that it's hypocritical that he questions their method of finding out about this kind of information when it was sent directly to him?
Well, Cindy, you see, for me, because this is society as well, society reasons in a particular way, driven by a certain narrative. It is quite interesting that everyone now suddenly realizes that the leaked things should not be leaked. You must question the authenticity of the leaked things. Not so long ago, there were emails that were circulating across the country. No one was concerned about the fact that they are leaked. No one was concerned about the fact that how authentic they are. Everyone was concerned about this as if this was the truth. It has been confirmed. This thing has happened. So even in this instance, who leaked it should not be important. What is important is why was it not responded to in time, because as the journalist would argue, that they gave him sufficient time, and this is a story that they've pursued over 2 months and all of those things. So this would have ought to have found a better response from the parties concerned. And when these questions and this kind of expected response, they were given to them. so that you clarify the matter, because going to court to stop publication is not necessarily helping. Actually, it's even putting more cloud and doubt, and actually giving the person who's doing the story that kind of a perception that actually his story is credible, because you would have not gone to court if it was not credible. Those are the kind of things that one would want to indicate, and the youth league would want to be concerned about in relation to this matter.
Mlondi Mkhize, ANC Youth League spokespersons, thank you so much for joining us. Retekisho, I mean, if this young lady now, obviously to preserve her dignity and to restore whatever semblance of her character, by virtue of going to court and there's no presence from the deputy president, do you feel that she's essentially being thrown under the bus?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that she went to court to want to interdict. That's the first thing that I said, because these things are already out in the open, so it's not going to help. But secondly is she should have at least go to court for defamation, rather than having to say for interdict, because these things are out and she cannot interdict them anymore. But what draw her into this matter is because of the relationship, the alleged relationship that she has with the deputy president. And we all know that the deputy president is the deputy president, which is a public official, that scrutiny is more stricter than some of us, and also more than commissar. Yeah.
Yes. Do you think, even as you're saying, I mean, we still can't verify the veracity of all these allegations, but the court appearances, firstly the interdict by the deputy president, and now this time around the lady in question, in your view, do you think he could have stood by her, even albeit that they may not or may be a relationship?
Look, I think that the way they appear, because these are a very serious allegation, and we look at them as they stand. We say, if that is possible, then it's really bad for the society. I don't even encourage them to be publicized or for our kids to
It's
see
already
them.
there. You go to Weekly Expose, the court interdict is to get them off the website, but it's already in the public domain.
Now, I'm saying that for the safety of our kids to watch at these particular pictures, they might not be good for the ordinary people, ordinary citizens, especially youngsters. It's not right. But what I'm saying that when such allegations have been proved that it's true, then probably he needs to face the music.
Yes, because the allegations are also supported by the emails, by the way, in how they relate to allegedly in the sexual innuendos that, he prefers a particular pet name to be called Baba, and that was also in the emails where she had said baby initially and he wasn't comfortable with that. So it's going to be a very tricky one to get out of, unless, as you were saying, to just come clean.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying also it's correct, it's humanly correct for him to have stood by her, because obviously these things are there in the open, and also show that indeed there is a relationship, even if she doesn't want to agree, but the emails are very clear, and show that she is a man that can even stand with the person that they blame, even if they were not together. But she should have stood by her and be able to support in whatever way, including perhaps also going to court and all of those things.
Yeah, because the argument was that, he supports a lot of charitable efforts and so forth, bursaries, and he's created a lot of opportunities for young people. This could have been a case in point, Commissar.
Yeah, I think so. Hence, I'm saying that we cannot really close the case and say he has committed this particular thing. But I'm saying that from what they are from the information we are getting, we are likely to conclude to say, okay, let the court take its study, let the court practice its work, and let's look at the outcome of it. If that is the case, just like all other readers in the world, which they normally face their music, because they know once you occupy a public domain, you have to do away with all these things which will make the society dissatisfied. There's no way that there's no shortcut out of this. We have to deal with it and come to conclusion to it.
We're going to have to leave it there, gentlemen. As always, thanks so much for your time and perspective. We're joined by Lucky Tekisho, Transform RSA Deputy President, Bilizo Dedzi's ANC Political Commissar, and Mlondi Mkiza, ANC Youth League Spokesperson. Joined us on the line, Opa Fumba, Right to Know Campaign Coordinator. Unfortunately, we couldn't conduct much of an engagement with him because his line was so bad. But thanks for you at home for calling in as well. Now, coming up on the other side of the break, a legal war over state capture probe, and this is where we debate the president's powers versus the public protector's powers, and whether the Democratic Alliance is after justice or sheer pure politics. Stay tuned for that. We're back after this.